Good day, everyone. This is Alex, your Bahagharing Lexi, and for today's video, what we are going to talk here is all about action research and its essential parts, so that we can able to start writing our action research. Again, for today's discussion, we will be talking about action research, content, and its part. Okay, but before we start with defining what is an action research and what includes as essential parts of an action research, let us first go with the definition of what research is. Okay, so that we are binded or we are in tune with the concept about what research is. And basically, when I do define research, it simply tells the concept about copia or COPIA. Now, by definition, when we talk about research, it is a scientific investigation. Okay? From the word itself, scientific, we read literatures, okay? We read literatures and studies. And from reading literatures and studies, we able to get some gaps, no? We able to look into the loopholes or the gaps where the previous researchers were not able to include in the research paper that is similar from what we are want to study. Kaya when we are dealing with research, scientific implies that it is already identified problem. Meaning to say, from reading literatures and reading studies, we came up with the concept of what are the variables not present or not included in the previous studies that is somehow can able to tell or provide us information from the current problem that our school or classroom is existing. Okay? Kaya the word scientific implies it is already identified. Meaning to say, you already have the central idea or the focus on what particular topic or what particular problem do you want to deal with and able to understand that current phenomena or current problem, as well as what will be the tangible solution that we can able to use so that we can address that problem. Okay, as I said, research is a scientific investigation. Investigation implies procedures, sequence. There is a pattern, and we have to follow so that we can able to understand the phenomena. Phenomena means the problem, the current state, the condition. Okay, as I said, when we are conducting an action research, okay, now we do have the 5 skills, okay, 5 skills, because it is a scientific investigation of phenomena, which includes number 1, collection. Okay, now we have the C. Okay, basically, when we talk about collection, what is being collected? What we collect are the data coming from the participants, okay, from the participants. Therefore, we really have to collect information so that we can able to understand the current state, why this problem is existing, okay? And from the collection or from the collected data rather, we have to organize it. Therefore, another skills of a researcher is that you have to have the concept or you do have the skills of how to organize the collected information so that we can able to well present or we can able to present it clearly to our audience, as well as it will be easy for the audience to understand, as well as the researcher, to understand what is this all about. Okay, the collected data will be organized, and then after you organize the data, you have to present it. Okay, and then after you present it, you have to interpret. Okay, we have to interpret as a researcher. We have to interpret the collected and the organized data so that our audience can able to really understand what this data all about. We should not let our audience interpret by their own understanding of the collected data coming from the participants, but rather the researcher should able to interpret the collected data for what we call this coherentness, okay, similarity of understanding. That's why in the interpretation, it is important that we have to use the basic, okay, the common language in interpreting the data. Okay, we should avoid the use of highfalutin words. It should always be the basic way of interpreting data. And then analysis. We have to provide now the generalization, the concept about the collected data that will really provide our audience a better or a clear understanding of the current state. Okay, always remember that research is a scientific investigation of phenomena which includes collection, organization, presentation, interpretation, and analysis of facts that links the man's speculation with reality. And we do have the 5 skills. We have COPIA, which stands for collection, organization, presentation, interpretation, and analysis. We already have the idea of what research is, and we are now going to what an action research is. But before we go on with an action research, always remember that research is divided into 3. We have the basic research, we have the applied research, and we do have an action research. Now, these are the 3 classifications of research. And when we talk about the basic research, basically we look into theory. We want to came up with a certain concept, okay, or the central idea. Okay, and then for the applied, we are now utilizing this basic information from the current or existing problem. And when we talk about an action research, we talk about a classroom-based or a school-based, okay, or a community-based situation wherein we want to have a quick response. Okay, now in the DepEd, okay, Department of Education, action research by virtue of DepEd Order number 43, series of 2015, they define it as a process. Okay, it's a process. Same with the concept of the research, because action research is a research. Okay, basically it governs or it follows a certain procedures. Kaya it's a process of systematic inquiry. Okay, which improves or to improve the educational practices, okay, of teachers, of the schools, okay, or resolve problems in classrooms and in schools. Okay, therefore, when we talk about an action research, the main concern here or the focus here is to improve or to resolve the educational practices that is present in the classroom or in school setting. Okay, therefore, if we want to really understand the situation that is happening in the classroom or in school, therefore we can able to have an action research. If we want to determine how effective are our practices in the delivery of the learning competencies to our learners, then we can have an action research. if we want to understand situations in the new normal among learners, then we can have an action research. Therefore, from conducting an action research, we can able to provide or collect information that is really relevant, okay, into today's setting. Again, by Debit Order number 43, series of 2015, action research is a process of systematic inquiry to improve the educational practices or resolve problems in classrooms and schools. Okay? And since we are through with the definition about what an action research is, now we go with what are now the parts, okay? And we have to follow now Debit Order number 16, series of 2017, as regards to the outline for action research proposal. Okay? And if you are going to write, okay, an action research, now here are the different parts. The first one is the context and rationale. Okay. Second is the action research questions. Third is the proposed innovation, intervention, and strategies. The fourth one is the action research methods. Okay, which includes number 1, participants and other sources of data. Number 2 is the data gathering methods. Number 3 is the ethical issues. Number 4 is the data analysis plan. Okay? Now, this comprises the research methods. Okay? And you also have to provide the action research work plan and timelines. Okay? To see what are the different activities corresponding to the date. Okay? And then, you also have to include the cost estimate, how much will be funded in your research paper, whether it's a birthed or an independent a research paper wherein you are going to finance your action research. Okay, and then you have the plan for dissemination and utilization. Okay, because it is really important to see how your findings will be utilized and disseminated after you conducted your research paper. I repeat, through Debit Order number 16, series of 2017, these are now the parts of the action research proposal once that you plan to write and implement your research paper. Now, you have to start with your proposal, and here is our outline. Okay, included also in the proposal of our action research is the references. Okay, that's why the literatures, the studies, the journal, the magazine, the books that you utilize, and it was written or included in your research manuscript as proposal should be reflected in the references to avoid plagiarism. Okay? And let me provide you inputs about how or what should be included in the context and the rationale, the action research questions, and the other parts of our action research proposal. Now, let's start with the context and the rationale. In writing the context and the rationale of your research paper, okay, this is similar when we are writing our introduction and the background of the study, okay, the problem and its background, okay, that we have to provide description and context of the study. Somehow it's similar with writing our introduction of the research paper. But there should also be an incorporation of why do you want to conduct the study. Okay? You have to provide the reason why there is a need to conduct the research paper. Okay? And if found out that the research or the result will be effective, no? How it will be incorporated in our school planning. Okay, therefore, in writing the context and the rationale, always provide now the context of the study, the reason why you have to conduct the study, and then how the results will be utilized in the action planning. Meaning, if you would really like to have a good narration of the context and the rationale, always start with what is the ideal setting, the ideal perspective, okay? And then go with what now is the gaps, okay? What is now the current or the reality, okay? And then what tangible solution can you provide? And then if found that your tangible solution is really effective, how the result will be utilized. Therefore, deal with your ideal, the general perspective, the current condition, which is the reality, then your proposed consequences, which is the proposed innovation, intervention, or strategies, and then the significance, okay, how it will provide an impact in a decision making for school improvement or for quality services that we can provide to our external and internal stakeholders. Okay, the context and the rationale is similar with the way we are writing our problem in its background in our master's, in our postgraduate studies, and even in the bachelor's degree when we had our thesis writing. Okay? And then, for the action research questions, that is similar with the statement of the problem. Okay? Similar with the concept about the specific questions that we would like to answer, that we would like to address. Okay? And the research question also guides the researcher on what particular data that we are going to, that the researcher are going to collect. Okay? And this research question also is a specific a statement that will really provide information about the current state. Okay? Therefore, in writing the action research questions, you have to identify now the problem, okay, which will be addressed based on the topic, based on the problem that we are dealing with. Okay, you have to consider also what are the solutions that you are going to respond to the existing problem. Okay, and then creating a new procedure or system or explaining a phenomenon. Therefore, when we are writing our action research questions, similar with the statement of the problem, okay, and then the proposed innovation, intervention, and strategies. You have to tell the idea about what is all about in the innovation, the intervention, or the strategy that makes it a tangible solution to the current problem. Okay, you have to state now the problem, the procedures on how it will be utilized, and okay, you have to really tell how these innovations will be implemented so that it can address the current problem and it will provide information that is relevant, okay, that is relevant in addressing the specific questions that we stated in the previous slide. Okay? And then for the action research method, since it composed of 4, okay, this is similar with the methodology or the methods that we encountered during the days that we are writing our research paper. Now, this is similar with the action research methods, okay? But the thing here is that it was only divided into 4 things, okay? Who will participate in the research, the number of people or the number of participants, the characteristic of the participants, and the sampling procedures. For the participants, always look into who will participate, the number of participants, their characteristic, and the sampling procedure on determining who will participate in your research paper. And after that, we also have the data gathering methods. Therefore, in this case, you have to tell us, or you have to tell our audience what is the instrument to be utilized in your study, as well as how it will be validated, okay, and establish its reliability. And then the procedures on the data gathering matter, okay? And then as well as you also have to introduce what type of the research design will be utilized in your study. Now, this is under the data gathering methods. And for the ethical issues, because we always have to observe the conformity, the data privacy. That's why in the ethical issues, you have to narrate how the ethical issues will be addressed. Okay, always remember the right to conduct a study to answer the questions, securing free prior and consent form from the participants, and issues of confidentiality and anonymity should be discussed in the ethical issues of your manuscript. Okay, and for the data analysis plan, okay, now here we are going to make decision whether we are dealing with a qualitative or quantitative methods, or if there is what we call a test of hypothesis. Therefore, what are the different statistical analysis that you are going to utilize, okay, and how it will be utilized. Okay, this is under the data analysis plan. Okay, and as I said, for the action research methods, we have 4. The first one is the participants. The second one is the data gathering methods. The third one is the ethical issues. And the fourth one is the data analysis plan. Okay, now let's recall the different parts that we have to include in writing our action research proposal. We have the context and the rationale, the action research questions, the proposed innovation, intervention, and strategies, or strategies rather, the action research methods, okay, the action research methods, which comprise the following: participants, data gathering methods, the ethical issues, the data analysis plan. And you also have the action research work plan and timelines, and the cost estimate, and then the plan for dissemination and utilization, as well as the reference. Okay, now the major parts was already discussed. We have the Roman number 1 to Roman number 4. Okay, now let me give you an example of an action research work plan and timelines, then the cost estimate, then the plan for dissemination and utilization. Okay. Complete the parts of our action research proposal. Here now is the sample copy of the timeline, okay, the Gantt chart. Now in this case, as you can see, I provided here an example of a timeline or a Gantt chart on the different activities in the implementation of your research paper. You have to write, okay, the different activities in column 1, and then as you can see, or as you observe, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That tells, or that is the months, okay, because we only have 6 months in the accomplishment of our action research after we submitted it and after the approval of the committee. Always bear on mind that when you are going to write the activities, you have to provide the detail on the different aspect of the implementation of your research paper. And then here naman is a sample copy of the dissemination activities after the implementation of your research paper, how your results will be disseminated. And as you can see, there are also 6 months to disseminate the findings of your research paper. And this is now the references. As I mentioned earlier, you really have to provide the references of the literatures and studies found and written in your manuscript to avoid plagiarism. Okay? And in addition, when you are going to conduct an action research, no, or what we call the educational research, now the educational research, okay, if this research will be utilized in promotion, for example, for promotion of master teacher, now 12 points for individual, and for collaborative research paper, now for master position, it is only 7 points. Okay, but the thing here is that after the conduct of your educational research, you have to provide the different MOVs that will support your research paper. The first one is the approved letter to conduct the research paper, the corroboration of your research paper, at least 5, okay, 5 persons who are going to corroborate the research paper, and then the research manuscript itself, the output of the research, you have to provide the narration, okay, and then the research report. Now, these are the requirements if you are going to utilize your educational research as a part of promotion for master's position. And since we are through with the major parts of an action research, now it's time for us to have our action research title, and that will be the next topic that I will be dealing with my video learning episode. How are we going to write a research title? Actually, I already uploaded a video about research title construction. You can visit in my previous uploaded video. Now, always remember that when you are going to conduct an action research, no, it is really important that we have to follow what is mandated by virtue of the DepEd order. Okay? And with this, God bless everyone. See you on my next video learning. And don't forget, always remember the 2 C's, the character and the competency. We are conducting research because we want to uplift, or we want to improve the educational practices, and we want to address the current problems encountered in classroom settings and school settings. That's why in terms of competencies, we are also improving the competence, okay, or our competency in the conduct of research paper, and the character as well. You always have to help people, especially our teachers, our co-teachers, our learners, on how to deal with research paper. Okay? And the findings should always be disseminated. Okay? Yeah, it's always a 2 C's that matters. The character that you have and the competence that you acquired in the conduct of your research paper. God bless. And if you have any questions about the topic, or if you would like to have a possible topic that I am going to share with you, feel free to comment in the comment section. And if you are not yet part of my community, please do subscribe and like, okay, so that you will be notified. God bless everyone. This is Bahagharing Lexi, your Sir Alex na malikhaing mananalig.